Every single thing in your life right now, your relationships, your bank account, your confidence, your health, was built by something you can't see, can't touch, and probably never pay attention to. Your thoughts, not your goals, not your plans, not your intentions. The actual, unfiltered thoughts running through your mind on any given Tuesday afternoon. Those are the architects, and the life you're living is their blueprint. That's the argument of a tiny book written in 1903 called As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. It's barely 50 pages, and it might be the most powerful thing you read this year. In the next 10 minutes, I'll walk you through the 4 ideas from this book that change the way people see everything. Let's start with the one that hits hardest. Most people believe their character is something they were born with, some combination of genetics, upbringing, and personality that was more or less set by the time they were 20. Allen says that's completely wrong. He says your character is the total sum of your thoughts, not your best thoughts, not the ones you're proud of, all of them, the ones you chose deliberately, and the ones you let drift in without noticing. Imagine 2 people get laid off from the same company on the same Friday, same department, same role, same severance. They walk out the same door, into the same parking lot. One goes home and spirals. He replays the conversation with his manager on a loop. He tells himself the job market is terrible. He watches the news and finds evidence that everything is getting worse. A month passes, then 2. He hasn't sent a single application, not because there are no jobs, because the story inside his head has already written the ending. The other person feels the same sting, the same shock. But that first evening, a different thought takes root. Not optimism, just a quiet shift. I didn't choose this, but I can choose what I do with it. The next morning, she's up early. 3 months later, she's in a new role, not because she was luckier, because the thoughts she fed from day one were different. Allen says every action is the blossom of a thought, and every result, your happiness, your suffering, your success, your failure, is the fruit. The seed is always invisible. The seed is always a thought. Nobody becomes bitter overnight. Nobody becomes wise by accident. It happens one thought at a time, one small permission at a time. And the same process that builds you up can tear you down if you stop paying attention to what you're letting through the door. But here's what should give you hope. If you built it, you can rebuild it. The moment you choose different thoughts, your character starts to change, not overnight, but with certainty. That leads to the second idea. And this one explains why your circumstances look the way they do. Allen compares your mind to a garden. You can tend it carefully, pulling weeds, planting what you want to grow, or you can ignore it entirely. But here's the thing about an untended garden. It doesn't stay empty. It fills itself, and what fills it is never what you would have chosen. He says your outer circumstances are always connected to your inner state. Your thoughts become your character shapes your habits, and your habits build the life you're living in. That chain is unbreakable. He gives an example that cuts deep. Picture a man who is desperately poor. He hates his situation. He dreams of a better life. But at work, he cuts corners. He does the minimum. He resents his employer for not paying enough, and uses that resentment to justify cheating wherever he can. Allen's response is blunt. This man doesn't understand the most basic law of prosperity. He's not just failing to escape his situation. He's digging deeper into it. Every lazy thought, every resentful shortcut is a seed, and those seeds are producing exactly the crop you'd expect. More poverty, more stagnation, more bitterness. And here's the line that stays with people. Allen says we are all anxious to improve our circumstances, but unwilling to improve ourselves, and so we remain bound. Think about your own life for a second. Is there an area where you've been trying to change the result without changing the thinking that created it? Allen says when you genuinely shift your thoughts, not just repeat affirmations, but actually change the beliefs running underneath, your circumstances shift in exact proportion. The mechanism is simple. Thoughts crystallize into habits. Habits solidify into circumstances. That's the chain. Every time. The third idea is about why most people feel lost even when they're busy. Picture a boat in the middle of the ocean. No captain, no map, no destination. The sails are up and the wind is blowing, so the boat is moving. It looks like progress, but it isn't. It's just drifting. And a boat that drifts doesn't find paradise. It finds rocks. Alan says most people live exactly like that boat. They're moving. They have jobs and routines and obligations, but they have no central purpose, no fixed point they're steering toward. And without one, every small wave of worry, every gust of distraction, every current of fear pulls them somewhere they never meant to go. He calls aimlessness a vice, not a phase, a vice, because the person without a purpose becomes easy prey for anxiety, self-pity, and petty fears that would be powerless if their mind were fixed on something larger. Imagine someone who spends their 20s keeping every option open. They don't commit to a career because what if something better comes along? They don't commit to a city. They don't commit to a relationship. They call this freedom. And then they're 40, and every door is still open because they never walked through any of them. They have options. They just don't have a life, not one they built on purpose. Alan says this isn't bad luck, it's a thought pattern. Indecision crystallizes into hesitation. Hesitation solidifies into paralysis. And paralysis, over enough years, solidifies into regret. His solution is almost too simple. Choose something. Commit your thoughts to it. Guard that purpose the way you'd guard a flame in the wind. Because doubt and fear have never accomplished anything. Not once. Not ever. They don't protect you. They just stop you. The will to do springs from the knowledge that we can do. And doubt is the thing that keeps that knowledge buried. The fourth idea is the one that ties everything together. And it starts with a story. There's a young man trapped in a workshop. Long hours, stale air, no education, no connections, no way out. Just a pair of hands and a clock that moves too slowly. But inside his mind, something is happening that nobody else can see. He's building a vision, not a wish, not a fantasy, a vision of who he could become. Intelligence, influence, a life bigger than anything these walls could hold. And he doesn't just dream it. Every spare minute he develops himself. Every small resource he uses. And slowly, so slowly nobody notices at first, his mind changes. And as his mind changes, the workshop shrinks around him. Not because the walls moved, because he grew. One day it can no longer hold him. It falls away like clothing that no longer fits. Years later, this young man stands at the center of enormous influence. People reshape their lives based on his words. He became what he once only imagined. He realized the vision of his youth. He became one with his ideal. Alan says this isn't a fairy tale, it's a law. Your vision is the promise of what you shall one day become, not might, shall, if you remain true to it. And then he turns to the people who look at someone else's success and call it luck. He says they don't see the trials. They don't see the darkness and the heartache. They only see the light and the joy, and they call it fortune. They only see the destination, and they call it chance. Chance is not. Achievements are thoughts completed, visions realized. The vision you hold in your mind and the ideal you carry in your heart are the blueprint of your future. What you build from them is entirely up to you. Alan wrote this entire book to plant one seed, that you are the master of your thoughts, and your thoughts are the master of everything else. Your character, your circumstances, your purpose, your future, all of it traces back to what's happening inside your mind right now, in this moment, whether you're paying attention to it or not. I had to leave something out to keep this short, and it might be the most unforgettable part of the entire book. Alan describes how your thoughts physically reshape your body. He tells the story of a 96-year-old woman whose face looked like a girl's, and a man half her age whose face was carved into deep lines by bitterness. And then he connects it to something science wouldn't confirm for another 100 years. The full deep dive covers that chapter in detail. It's on One Book Away, linked below. If this made you think differently about even one thought you carried today, drop it in the comments. And if you want more like this, subscribe. There's always a new book waiting to change the way you see things. Your mind is a garden. Start planting.